Are you a beginner when it comes to plein air painting? Are you frustrated with the logistics of trying to find a place to get started to paint outside? Or are you hesitant to go outside and paint because you just don't feel you're good enough? Well, in this video, I'll be taking you step by step through my demonstration plein air painting from my balcony. And I'll be explaining how easy it is to set up your easel and get started painting plein air from the comfort of your backyard, patio, or balcony. Starting plein air painting in your backyard or covered patio is a great way to get familiar with the process of painting nature. You have the convenience of your house for breaks or a nearby restroom, and you don't have to lug around your equipment for miles. And later on in the video, I'll give you a bonus, the top 10 mistakes that many artists make when painting on location. Here's the scene that I'll be painting today. A few trees right across the pond and the shadow underneath that main tree. I'll be using a limited palette of acrylic paints and only one brush, a 1/2 inch flat. I'll start by sketching in the basic shapes of the composition with a watered down burnt umber color. And as you can tell, I live in a golf course community. Even though I've been painting for over 30 years, there's still a whole lot out there that I can learn. I've been doing a lot of studio paintings for the past few years, but I wanted to get back to plein air painting because plein air painting is a great way to hone your observation skills and the way you see the subtleties of colors. When you're in the studio, you can create whatever variations you want, but when you're painting plein air, you're trying to really represent what you're seeing. So hopefully you and I can hone our skills together. I approach a plein air painting with a series of steps that follow each other. First, I start out with a toned canvas. I paint the canvas a uniform yellow ochre, or you could do orange or burnt umber. But what that does is it creates an undertone for the painting, which warms the painting up. You'll see some of that peek through in the final painting. It also helps tone down the glare. If you're outside and you have the sun shining on it, it can be very glaring, which interferes with your perception of the colors. Then I sketch the composition and map out the basic shapes. Then block in the darks. It's easier to gauge the lights and how light the light should be if you block in the darks first. And then establish values. There's usually a variation of darks. There's very dark, mid-range dark, and then lighter darks. And then block in the lights afterwards. And following that is refine and adjust the values and the colors as the painting goes on. You'll notice that there's a lot of what I call blocking in, just putting down color in masses. And one of the things that I tried to correct in myself is going to detail too soon. So blocking in is probably 75% of the painting, just to get the shapes right and the colors down, and then refine after that. Plein air painting is all about capturing the moment. It's a lot different than studio painting. When I'm in the studio, I can take days or even weeks to work on a painting and really refine it. In plein air painting, you're trying to get the feeling of that moment down in about an hour and a half. And the reason why you have to do that is because the sun changes, the angle changes, clouds can come in, colors can change in front of you because of the different light that's shining on them. So you really have to kind of work and capture that moment. It's a lot better than a photograph because you're putting feeling into it. And actually, about an hour and a half after I finished this painting, it started to pour. So I'm glad I got this done in the morning. So far the painting looks a bit crude, I admit. It takes a while to adjust the shapes and adjust the colors add more components to it for a good composition. But it will, in the end, start to get refined and a little bit more realistic looking. Many times I can tell which of my paintings were created from photos and which were created from life. There's many subtleties in my plein air paintings that's very hard to capture in my studio paintings. But at the same time, working in plein air allows me to bring more and more of those subtleties into my studio work. Plein air painting is the best way to grow and develop your artistic and observation skills and your ability to actually see as an artist. And if you start out close to home, maybe your enclosed backyard patio, or even looking out a window to your garden, you don't have to battle the wind, heat, cold, or rain. You can just concentrate on your painting and not be distracted. Now, as I continue to work on my painting, let's get into the bonus tips that I talked about earlier. The top 10 mistakes that artists make while painting on location. Number 10, forgetting to squint and eliminate the detail and see values more clearly. Number 9, getting bogged down in detail instead of massing in basic shapes. Number 8, painting over incorrect passages and making mud instead of scraping. Here's the advantage of acrylics, because all I have to do is wait a few minutes and it'll be dry and then I can paint over it. Number 7, painting on too large of a canvas for the amount of time available before the light changes. Number 6, not mixing up enough paint and skimping on the paint application. Number 5, giving up too early, letting the frustration get to you. Number 4, wiping off the entire painting or painting over the entire painting in the field. Your painting might just be better than you think it is. Number 3, focusing on one area too long instead of seeing the entire painting design. Number 2, using too small of a brush. You want to paint fairly large and not get bogged down in details using a small brush. And the number one reason why paintings fail is not having a clear plan before you start. Now that I've talked about all of the mistakes we can make, let me emphasize one very important thing. Probably the most important thing I can suggest when learning to do plein air painting is to have fun. Don't take it too seriously. You don't want to have pressure. Maybe even invite others to paint along with you. Look at it as a learning experience. You're going to get better the more you practice. Enjoy being outside. Listen to the birds. Hopefully not the lawnmowers. Just after I turned the camera off, I did some minor adjustments to parts of the painting. I knocked down the white on the roof of the buildings behind there, just because I didn't want that to interfere with the focal point, which were the trees in front. And I also did a little bit of work on refining the leaves in the trees, and that was it. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That will help me reach more art and tropical beach lovers like you.